Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Beyond Time Tests and Memorization, Introducing Daily Math Fluency. My name is Brandy Brown, Director of Marketing at ETA hand2mind, and I'll be your moderator. We're so glad that you've joined us today and taken time out of your busy summer schedules. In the next 30 minutes, we'll share ways to build math fluency using math talks and number strings, and we'll introduce you to daily math fluency from hand2mind. Before we end the webinar with a Q&A session, we'll have a live drawing where one attendee will win a daily math fluency kit for their classroom, so stay tuned. Before we get started, I just want to give you guys some tips and tricks on how you can participate in today's webinar. First, this session is being recorded and a link will be sent out to you within 24 to 48 hours with that recording, so you can either watch it on demand or share it with your colleagues and friends. On your screen here, you'll see an example of what the attendee interface should look like. You should see this in the top right of your screen. As a default, you're listening using your computer speaker system, and if you'd prefer to join over the phone, just select telephone and it'll give you a dial-in number and information to call in. We also would love to have you guys submit questions and chat with us, give us feedback, let us know how you've worked with number strings, math talks, how you build fluency in your classroom. So please submit questions, put comments in the chat. You should see those panes in that top right section. Either there is a question section or a chat section. Please send those in. We're going to address as many as we can get to at the end during the Q&A session. You'll also notice that there's a handout section. In there, you'll find information on daily math fluency, but that also includes a sample and example number strings and math talks, so you'll definitely want to check that out at the end. Now I'd like to introduce you to today's presenter, Lindsay Petlak. Lindsay is an award-winning teacher, winning a Golden Apple Award in 2002 and was the Golden Apple Teacher of Distinction in 2012. She's taught grades K-4, worked at the district level, consulted for various education companies, and trained teachers nationwide. Lindsay has also served on core curriculum and STEM committees. She presents at conferences across the country on topics from STEM to differentiation to teacher advocacy and blogs for various educational websites. Currently, Lindsay is a national education consultant here at ETA hand2mind, training teachers, coaching in classrooms, and creating hands-on learning products. Lindsay brings over 15 years of education experience to us today, and as someone who is lucky enough to work with her every day, I think you'll feel the passion she has for teaching come through during this webinar. So with that, I will hand this over to Lindsay. Lindsay, the floor is yours.
Thanks so much, Brandy, and thanks to all of you for joining us today. I am so excited to talk everything math fluency with you, and I really hope by the end of this webinar, you will understand the components of teaching math fluency in your classroom and see how we here at ETA hand2mind can make it super easy for you to do so. But first, I'd like to start today by hearing from you. So this is where you're going to check out that section that says chat on the right-hand side of your screen. I want to know, do you remember these timed facts tests? Maybe you remember them as a child yourself, and maybe you didn't take these when you were a student, but you've implemented them as a teacher, maybe both. What I want to know from you is, how did those make you feel, and how did you perform on them? We're going to take a couple of seconds to let you comment. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. And while you're doing so, I'm going to tell you very personally, even as a student who made good grades, for me, these caused great anxiety. And I found myself making errors in accuracy, even on problems that I thought I really knew. From the comments, it looks like many of you had the same reaction. However, for some of you, these tests came really easy and were a breeze. I wish that would have been the case for me. Here's the problem. Regardless of how these made you feel, the pitfall of using timed tests as practice and instruction is that memorization and timed tests do not build real, lasting math fluency. In the long run, even though I technically scored well on my facts tests, I lacked true accuracy, efficiency, and flexibility with my numbers and with my math skills. Now, as we move forward, I want to say this. We all know that in the education community, buzzwords abound and hot topics often take on many different definitions, sometimes becoming quite diluted. Let's look more closely and develop a shared definition of what math fluency truly is. Math fluency is the ability to apply strategies accurately, efficiently, and flexibly, and to recognize when one strategy is more appropriate to apply than another. And something that's really key here is that strategies are so important, because this is what differentiates true math fluency from strictly memorizing facts. The strategies are what really lead to accuracy, efficiency, and flexibility. And this is so important because we know that building math fluency effectively is the groundwork and the basis for all of your math numeracy that follows. I really saw this when I taught older grades. I've taught everything K through 4. And by the time students reached me in grades 3 and 4, students that didn't have a firm foundation and true math fluency not only struggled with their basic facts, but that caused a ripple effect with them having difficulties in multi-digit computation, multiplication, division, fractions, and beyond. So what are the benefits of math fluency? Well, it helps our students develop numeracy, gives them flexibility in solving problems. It provides them with strategies that they can practice with and use to compare, decide which ones are best per given problem, and they can use these strategies to also describe their math thinking, which is often very difficult for students. It helps increase their accuracy, helps them to see number relationships. They gain a better understanding of place value. It allows them to reason using mental math, helps you as the teacher detect student needs and gaps. It encourages mathematical discourse and discussion, and it helps your students develop automaticity of their facts. So now the spotlight's on you. As quickly as you can in the comments, without using pencil and paper, I want you to use mental math to solve this problem. 245 plus 98 equals what? Hurry, quick. What's the number? What's the answer? I don't know about you, but I'm still trying to line up these numbers in my head, lining up the place value columns, trying to remember which numbers go in each, probably confusing one or two of those, then trying to add up each column, carry my ones, and on and on. It's really difficult to apply that method if you don't have a pencil and paper in front of you, or at least it is for me. Who else? Please tell me I'm not alone. How many of you actually implemented some sort of a strategy? You weren't sitting there looking like me in this picture. Some of you may have taken 2 away from the 245 and added it to the 98 to equal 100. Then the problem becomes much more simple and you just add those 2 totals together. This is an example of a strategy, one that would be great to teach our students, but we need to teach our students a variety of strategies. If our students are relying on lining up numbers, that gives us a pretty good indicator that they don't have true math fluency. So how do you build math fluency? Well, we know that best practices are no longer to implement mad minutes and flashcards as instruction or practice. We realize that just memorization of each individual fact does not build true math fluency. Now, please let me make one thing clear. Time tests and flashcards are not the enemy. I know for a fact that many of you joining us here today have mandatory time tests in your school or district, and flashcards certainly serve a purpose for quick practice. The problem is that using them as non-engaging, strategy-lacking practice and instruction doesn't really do anything for our students. They're really best suited for quick, informal assessments. Our goal is to develop solid math fluency that can be applied to any type of problem or assessment. And so what we know now is that we can build that math fluency through math talks and number strings, which we will dive deeper into throughout this webinar. We need to be implementing daily consistency of math fluency as part of our math routine. We need to help our students use conceptual understanding and strategies, and we need to continuously practice for efficiency, accuracy, and flexibility. Now, let's take that deeper dive into number strings. You may have also heard these referred to as problem strings. And then after that, we'll move on to what a math talk looks like, which you may have also heard referred to as a number talk. First up, what's a number string? A number string is a set of related math problems designed to teach specific strategies based on number relationships. It typically uses some form of manipulative or model for you to demonstrate with for your students. And it is a 10 to 15-minute routine that can be used during whatever math program or instructional block you already have set up. Typically, it's best to do this 3 to 4 times each week. So I want you to try it now. The thing is, this is so easy that even if you have no prior knowledge of what a number string is, I think you'll catch on and not only see how to do this, but also the benefits. So I want you to take a look at this demonstration rec and rec. Make sure when you are looking at the following rec and recs that you focus on the left-hand side, the beads that have been pushed over to the left. So here's your problem for this first one. What is 2 plus 2? Take a few seconds. What I want to know is how many beads are there for a total and how did you see them? What you're hoping for in a number string is that your students will be able to come up with the answer of 4, but even more importantly, that they'll be able to explain that they know 2 plus 2 is a double strategy that equals 4. Building on to that is this next problem. Can you tell me what 2 plus 3 equals? Take a second. Think about the answer and also how you would use your math discourse to explain how you got to that answer. So your goal would be that your students answer 5. And then they would be able to say they saw 2 plus 2, which is 4, and they know that adding 1 more equals 5. Let's keep going. What if your next problem was 3 plus 3? Well, you would obviously want your students to answer 6 and be able to say that they saw 3 on top and 3 on bottom, which is a double that equals 6. Building on to that, what's 3 plus 4? You can see here that we would hope that your students would be able to say, the answer to that is 7. I know that 3 plus 3 is a doubles and it equals 6. So 3 plus 4 is just 1 more and would equal 7. How about this one? What's 4 plus 5? We know the answer is 9, and you would want your students to be able to say, I know the double strategy of 4 plus 4. That equals 8. So I understand that 4 plus 5 would just be 1 more, and it would give me the total of 9. What I love about this one, all of these problems have been part of a number string. But if you noticed, for each of the other 2 pairs on the previous screens, we would show you a doubles problem, and then we would build upon that with a doubles plus 1. For this example, we skipped right past 4 plus 4 equals 8. We want to see if students are starting to be able to really understand the strategy and how to build upon it. So we jumped directly to 4 plus 5 for that type of informal assessment. And this is perhaps what I love most about implementing number strings. You as the teacher are really going to see where your students have strengths and where they struggle, where those gaps are in some of the strategies that you've been working on, and where you can really work on helping meet those needs of your students. Okay, we're going to move on to what a math talk is. Now, a math talk is a 10-minute activity designed to elicit multiple strategies and provide opportunities for students to reason about the relationships in the numbers and make connections in mathematics. Something that's really great here and that is different from the number strings that you just saw, when you're doing a math talk, and you will see it here with some of these student examples, you are not focusing on a specific strategy, and you're also not focusing on a specific manipulative or model to demonstrate with. This is a much more student-driven part of your routine. And the entire purpose is that you want your kiddos to be using different strategies, talking about them, and being able to explain their math thinking. So don't take my word for it. Let's see what these students are able to say for themselves. They have all been given the problem 7 plus 8. Now, I'm going to show you their 4 very different answers and how they explain them.
What is 7 plus 8?
15.
How did you solve that?
Well, 7 plus 7 equals 14, so 7 plus 8 equals 15.
All right, let's take a look at another classmate and see how she solved this problem.
Madeline, what is 7 plus 8?
15.
How did you get that?
So you can get the 5 and 5 out of the 7 and 8. Then you can get the 3 and 2. Then it will make 15.
Good girl.
Let's take a third look at another student explanation.
What is 7 plus 8?
15.
How did you get that?
There's an 8 in the 7. There's 2 from the 7. You take the 2, put it with the 8, and there's a 10.
Yes.
And there's 5 more left, and it makes 15.
Thank you, Henry.
And let's take one final look at yet another student answer. Give us just 1 second for the video to load. We'll try one more time. Looks like our last little buddy is not fully going to load on his video, but he walks us through using a double strategy for this of 8 plus 8, and knowing that that is 16, and then being able to subtract 1 away from that to make 15. So what really, I don't know about you, but I find this really impressive. I know for sure that as a student, and even honestly for most of my teaching career, I was not able to flexibly look at problems from all of these different angles, let alone explain my math thinking in the way that these young students have done. And these are great examples of students who really have a good grasp of math fluency. And not only are they going to be able to then know their facts well, but they're going to be able to apply that for much more difficult math concepts, as well as problem solving, as they use this firm foundation of math fluency as scaffolding to build upon. By now, even if the concept of math fluency was completely new to you before this webinar, I'm sure if you think about your students and think about what we've talked to you about and now shown you with some of these student examples, that you recognize the need for and the benefits of math fluency in the classroom. Hopefully you can see how the simple routines of number strings and math talks help facilitate that accuracy, efficiency, and flexibility using strategies in order to build math numeracy. But you're probably also wondering, how do I create these? What resources do I even start looking for in order to pull research to start creating them? How much time is this going to take me to research prep and have these ready to go for my students? And then even once I have them ready to go, how do I implement them? What do I do? How do I make sure that I am using math fluency correctly with my students? All very valid questions and concerns. I have been there. I had to create these on my own, and let me tell you, as much as I loved using them in my classroom and I saw my students grow incredibly from them, it was incredibly laborious. So I'm happy to tell you that we here at ETA Hand2Mind realize this. We know that you need a system for implementing math fluency, and we want you to be able to focus on that implementation instead of the preparation. So I'm so pleased to introduce to you the brand new Daily Math Fluency by ETA Hand2Mind. We worked with real classrooms and real teachers to create a program that has everything you need to implement math fluency with no fear, no frustration, and no labor-intensive prep work. Let's take a look at the goodies that are included for you. First up, we have a teacher's guide with everything you need to get started and kick this off in your classroom as quickly as possible. We also have these awesome anchor charts that feature strategies you'll be focusing on. We provide 120 complete number strings, as well as 60 math talks for you to use. And even beyond these teacher resources, we have demonstration manipulatives that you will use to accompany you through your daily math fluency routines. Let's take a closer look at the number strings that we include in each of our kits. Now we know that number strings have great benefits. We just discussed this a little bit earlier in this webinar. They help teach appropriate strategies through repeated practice. It's best if you can use these 3 to 4 times per week. It allows you as the teacher to hone in on one strategy. You're going to model these with the demonstration manipulative, and it really helps to teach efficiency. My favorite part, because I'm sure most of you are already using some form of a math program or system or curriculum in your classroom, you can do all of this in just 10 minutes a day, and you don't have to spend any of your time creating the cards or the strings to be used. It's done for you. Let's take a look at what one of the ETA hand2mind daily math fluency number string cards look like and how it guides you through this routine. First up, you'll see at the top the strategy that you're going to be focusing on for this particular number string. Over here on the left, you're going to see each of the problems that you will pose throughout the string. It gives you the teacher language that you can use to engage your students. It also shows you your goal for what you would hope your students would be able to discuss with you and explain their math thinking. And then finally, you're going to see here on the right a focused demonstration manipulative that you will use for each string. We will go through all of the different manipulatives and models that we provide and cover through our daily math fluency kits. Right here, you can see that we are showing a demonstration rec and rec. And that helps you not only expose your students to each of the featured strategies, but also getting them used to flexibly thinking about which manipulatives and models could help them physically solve the problem. Right here is a handy-dandy chart of a variety of different manipulatives and models that would be good for you to use no matter what with your students, but also by grade level, the different manipulatives and models that we are featuring in the Daily Math Fluency Kits by ETA hand2mind. I know personally, I had a few of my favorites, or maybe my classroom didn't have all of these that you can see listed here. So there were always 1 or 2 that I would sort of use as my crutch models or manipulatives. And really, we want to break that habit. So that's the nice thing about having these built into our program. It takes sort of that guesswork or some of those crutches out of the way for you. And as much for our teachers as for our students, it helps enforce using a variety of manipulatives and models through your daily math instruction. The great part about this is, you know us, we here at ETA hand2mind, we believe that children learn best by doing, and that's definitely important whenever you're trying to teach math fluency to your kiddos. In using these demonstration manipulatives and models, it really helps take your students from concrete to representational to abstract mathematical thinking. Okay, now we're going to take a closer look at how the ETA hand2mind Daily Math Fluency Math Talks resource book helps you as a teacher go through the routine and discussion of implementing math talks in your math instruction. We know from what we saw the students saying to us and demonstrating themselves just a little bit earlier in this webinar that these are truly effective. You only have to do them 1 to 2 times per week. They allow students to elicit from various strategies. These really encourage active participation in math discourse instead of having your students sitting there and some of them are getting it, some of them are not, and some of them you have no idea. This type of discussion and true engagement allows you to detect and correct where there might be gaps or crutches in the strategies or models that you have been using with your students and that your students are then using on their own. And just like with our number strings, this is something that can be implemented in just a quick 10-minute routine. Again, you don't have to do the prep work for this, so all you have to focus on is making sure that you're consistently implementing these quick routines into your math instruction. So let's take a look at how our Math Talks resource book will guide you as a teacher, even if this is a brand new concept for you, even if you're a little bit nervous or unsure, how it helps you walk through a number talk with your students. First off, it's going to give you one problem that you will pose to your class. If you look upon the left-hand side here, you'll see a variety of different strategies that might be something your students will say they have used in order to solve the problem. The examples here for 5 plus 3, one student might use the 5-10 structure, another student might use the double strategy, yet another might use known facts or counting on. If you look on the right side, we're showing not one singular manipulative or model being used, but a variety. Again, remember, the purpose of these math talks is to see from the number strings where you've been using isolated strategies and isolated manipulatives or models, can your students decipher on their own which ones might work best for them and best for the problem that's being posed. Even if you're still a little bit unsure, what I love about this is there are teacher notes at the bottom and even cues to help you facilitate questions and discussion within your class. So you've heard us talk a lot about strategies, the importance of strategies, the implementation of strategies in both number strings and math talks, and how to make sure that your students don't get stuck using one or two of them as a crutch, but are able to flexibly pull from a variety of strategies when solving their problems. This is so important because it helps build that scaffolding and firm foundation, which will support learning and application of higher mathematics as they progress from grade to grade and get into much more difficult math concepts. What I'm showing you on these next few slides, like our grid of different math manipulatives and models, is a variety of 24 unique strategies spanning grades K through 5 that you can look at and use right now. This is also available for you in the download that is totally free and comes with this webinar. What I love best is, much like our manipulatives list and checklist that I showed you before, also available in the free download, we have made sure our experts here, our teacher tested and class proven resources have woven these strategies throughout the instructional tools that we provide for you so that the guesswork is taken out. You don't have to pull a Lindsay Petlak and get stuck on one or two of them. And it really just is peace of mind that you're really covering what you need to and exposing your students to as many strategies as possible in a way that doesn't stress you out and doesn't stress them out. So that really wraps up the main part of our presentation today. What we really hope that you walk away from here is, first of all, just a good base foundational knowledge of what math fluency is, how it benefits you as a teacher and your students, how easy it is to implement, and also how effective it is through the use of number strings and math talks. And then, of course, how much simpler the entire process can be made for you and how much accurately you as a teacher can confidently go in and implement this with your class in using the brand new Daily Math Fluency Kits from ETA Hand2mind. Now available, these have just come out and we are so excited because it's everything you need for your entire year of math fluency all in one amazing kit for just $199.95. Now for what you've all been waiting for, One lucky live viewer gets to walk away with one of these fully prepped, ready to go, instant implementation kits for the grade level of your choice. So I'm going to turn things back over to Brandy. She's going to randomly choose one of you viewers, and we are so thankful that all of you joined us today and super excited for whoever this lucky winner is. Take it away, Brandy.
Thank you, Lindsay, and thank you for sticking to our 30 minutes. We're at 11:30, so we're going to go ahead and do this drawing, and then we'll stay on a little bit later just to do some Q&A. We got a ton of questions. They didn't come through the chat log like I had hoped, but we've been keeping up with them, so hopefully you guys are able to see those on your end. So without further ado, I feel like I need a drum roll, please. Our winner of a daily math fluency kit is Sarah Winokur. So we will send you a message here, or I will look through the attendee log and find your email address, and we will reach out to you to get the grade level of your choice and get this out to you. Can't wait to hear about how you use it in your classroom. All right, so we had, oh my gosh, so many comments, a lot of questions come through. The first one I want to cover, let me figure out how to navigate this. One that we always get from everybody is, how do you balance how many number strings and how many math talks you should be doing?
Yes, this is definitely a question we hear a lot. It's a really good question. You know, we want to make sure you see that this is simple, but also that you're able to do this consistently and effectively in your classroom. So what I'm here to tell you is, the good news is there's not a set number of number strings that should be done before a math talk, but I really want you to think about what you've learned here today about the purpose of a number string and the purpose of a math talk. The number strings, if you'll remember, are very focused upon a specific strategy and a specific manipulative or model, whereas the math talks, the whole purpose of those is to just pose a problem and then turn it over to your students to see if they can pick and choose from a variety of strategies you have exposed them to and a variety of manipulatives and models that you have used in demonstrating number strings to them, and then accurately, flexibly, and efficiently be able to determine which strategy best suits both their own knowledge and math learning style, as well as the problem that's being posed. So here's the advice I would give you. There's not a specific set number for this, but I would really want to make sure that I had exposed my students to several different strategies and had good practices with those before engaging in a math talk. The reason being, you're just going to get a much richer math discussion during your math talk, and you're going to be able to truly see better if your students are relying on one or two strategies, or if they're able to pull from several in order to make their own choice of which one to use. I also want to point out that you can also do a math talk as a way to pre-assess what strategies students are already coming to you with. This is especially important as you teach some of the older elementary grades. So just make sure that you are listening to your students, paying attention when you are doing some of those number strings, and if you have tried a couple math talks to see if there might be gaps or crutches that they're using, and just make sure that you are exposing them to a variety before you turn the reins over to them in a math talk. Any other questions, Brandy?
Yes, we have a couple of product questions. So can you talk a little bit, and I think you end up covering this in some of the charts, and I put out a link to hand2mind.com/fluency and want to remind you about the handouts. Can you talk a little bit more about how the kits are different per grade level? Different manipulatives and different strategies are covered, correct?
Yes, the routines that you will be using, the teacher guide is the same sort of startup for each grade level. You are going to have 120 number strings regardless of your grade level. You are going to have 60 math talks provided to you regardless of your grade level. Obviously, there are a few differences just based on difficulty levels per grade level. First and foremost, your standards are going to be different, and since we realize that, and this product is aligned to standards, the content covered in each will obviously vary depending on grade level. Also, we have made sure that we've chosen and included grade level appropriate manipulatives and models to be used whenever you're leading your number string. And then while you will notice that some of those may overlap per grade level, if you do take a look at the download, which features some of our previous slides that showed the manipulatives and the strategies, you will notice that there is some overlap, but then there are also different strategies and manipulatives that are specific to various grade levels. So that's another great thing about Daily Math Fluency by ETA Hand2Mind. As far as the routine, the concept, the foundation, and the research and implementation, it is very consistent across the grade levels. That is very important, for the teachers and especially administrators to know that this is something that can be consistently implemented with efficacy across grade levels within the school, and that it's simple enough that their teachers can feel comfortable in doing so. But it's also really beneficial for the students to have that consistency and just from grade level to grade level for themselves. That way they always know what a number string is like. They always know what a math talks routine is like. They know they're going to be learning different strategies. They know they're going to be exposed to and using a variety of different manipulatives and models. The technical aspects of those and the variety of strategies and manipulatives are really what's going to vary from grade to grade.
Awesome. And then I just want to do one last question. There's a lot of detailed questions. I just want to say we're going to follow up after the webinar. We're going to send you more information on the products so that you can better understand what's included in each grade level, what's the difference between the Centers Kit versus the Daily Math Fluency Kit, which is for the teachers to lead with. And then we're also going to make sure you guys get access to the videos, because I know some people had trouble with the streaming coming through. But can you talk a little bit more about the Centers Kit and how it's different from the main kit? The main kit is really about the teacher and the demonstration. And is that meant for whole group instruction?
Good question. So here's something that I want you to think about. I always like to think about fluency in a couple of different ways. For one thing, I think of fluency for math much like I think about being fluent in a foreign language. I know if I don't use it, I lose it. And so while the fluency kits that we have featured here today in the webinar, those are really the teacher-guided instructional routines that will be implemented in your class. Yes, your students are participating, but even the manipulatives in those, they are demonstration manipulatives for you as a teacher to be using. And so that's a key difference there. Much like working out or a foreign language, and if you don't use it, you lose it. We also realize that your students need to be practicing with fluency beyond just these teacher-directed routines. And so what the Centers Kits really do, it enables you to put out fluency-focused centers for your students to be practicing with beyond your daily math fluency instructional routines of number strings and math talks. Our Centers Kits extend the strategies. They include a flip chart with manipulatives, and it's really designed with small groups in mind. That kit costs $124.99, and the beauty is that it works in tandem with the Daily Math Fluency instructional kits. However, the instructional kits can also work on their own. You just will see increased benefits in accuracy, efficiency, and flexibility if your students are also practicing with math fluency beyond the number strings and math talks. Anything else, Brandy?
I think we are out of time for today. I want to make sure we respect the contracted time that we've had with everybody. So thank you so much for sticking around a little bit longer. As a reminder, within 24 to 48 hours, you will get an email with a link to this recording. We'll also be sending you an additional email with some of the resources that I just discussed. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We've included our social contact details on the screen. We love whenever you leave us messages or comment on our posts, and we'd love to hear from you. We also have everything, all the information, details on the product is available at hand2mind.com/fluency. We'll be posting the webinar there for on-demand viewing as well as other resources as we develop them going forward. On behalf of ETA Hand to Mind, thank you for joining us today and have a great rest of your day.